Tam Devam Kamsacharuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. The Bhagavad Gita, chapter 8, verses 7 to 9. We've subtitled it The Yoga of Practice, Abhyasa Yoga. So the 7th verse is, therefore, think of me at all times and fight. There is no doubt that by dedicating your mind and intellect to me, you will attain me alone. It's a tremendous verse that the Lord is telling us. I remember many years ago, somebody had asked me, tell me in one word how to realize God. And I had said just one: practice. Just that? Say yes. And the Lord also speaks about this. It's not only in the Bhagavad Gita and all scriptures. There's something called pray without ceasing. Pray without ceasing. Yes. So the Lord says, therefore, tasmad, therefore, sarveshu kaleshu, at all times. It's not just morning and evening, or maybe a special day. Today I've taken a holiday, kind of. I can't practice too much. I need a break. At all times, remember me, or meditate on me, or think of me. Mam anusmara. And fight. Now, in the context of Arjuna, that he's standing there on the battlefield primed to fight. So the Lord is giving him a methodology. You're going to fight? Yeah. But remember me and fight. And for us, in our context, we fight our battles of life. Every day is a battle. Every day is a struggle. We are trying to push misery, and misery comes. And then suppose we give in one day or stop pushing back, it will overwhelm us. This is the nature of the world. So the Lord is telling us, remember me and push back on all the sufferings and miseries that life entails, necessary entails. And He's given a tremendous, you can say, methodology. What does practice? People say, no, oh, you keep on practicing. But what is this practice? As you keep on practicing, it's like this. By dedicating your mind and your intellect to me, by offering your mind and intellect to me, Mai arpita mano buddhi. Tremendous. This is the inner dynamics of practice. Become one with the practice. You don't stand here and do something that is divorced from you. That's not practice. You've got to pour yourself into it. Be one with it. It's called a tanmayata, just one with it. Practice. So he's saying, Mai arpita mano buddhi, by offering, by dedicating your mind and intellect to me, Mameva Aishas, you will come to me. There is no doubt. Now, are we going to be slaves? We are going to dedicate our mind and our intellect to, take your intellect and throw it away. No, because the goal of spiritual life is the realization of an entity which is beyond mind and intellect. People think that the mind and the intellect are the final, you can say, categories of reality in this world. But in Vedanta is saying, no, these are just lower steps. Consciousness is the entity where you are supposed to reach. And that consciousness is existence. So what do? You offer your mind and intellect to that practice, to me, he's saying, to the Lord, and practice. Don't be kind of negligent. Say, yeah. Something like Sri Ramakrishna tells Girish Ghosh, okay, you take the name of God morning and evening. So Girish Ghosh looked puzzled. Oh, morning, evening? Oh, I see, you can't even do that. Take the name of God once before you eat. Girish Ghosh is again wondering, sometimes there's no kind of set schedule for my eating. Okay, before you sleep, there also he's kind of, I don't even know when I sleep. I come back from my work, from my theater. And then Sri Ramakrishna gets into that samadhi and says, okay, give me a power of attorney. And Girish Ghosh was so relieved. Thank God, Sri Ramakrishna is taking all my responsibility. I don't have to bother myself about doing japa in the morning or in the evening and this and that. Oh, it's kind of... Little did he know that Sri Ramakrishna is asking him, you dedicate your mind and intellect to me. And when Girish Ghosh said, I'll do that, wait, just a moment. What do you mean you'll do that? Say, if God wills, I will do that. And then at times he's saying, I don't like that. No, it's not a question. You will do it. He wanted to kind of give up all this theater business and all, and he said, no, you do it. He was in the hands of a higher power. Once you understand that I am dedicating my mind and intellect to a higher power, then it makes sense. This is practice. Therefore, think of me at all times. Think of me and say, think deeply, contemplate on me, meditate on me, and fight and live. There is no doubt that by dedicating your mind and intellect to me, you will attain me alone. There is no doubt, he says, that you will attain me. There it is. What else do we want anymore? Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu mamanusmara yudhyacha Mayarpita mano buddhir mame vaishyasya samshayah. Asamshayah, there is no doubt about it. Now this is what? So this 7th verse is an elaboration of the 6th verse. That is saying, whatever one thinks, that one attains. Yam yam vapi smaran. Whatever one thinks, that you will attain that. So at the time of giving up the body, if you think of God, if you have thought of God all through, that last thought will be the thought of God, obviously. Because it's saying that last thought will lead you to me. Now, in this case here, he's saying, yeah, you kind of think of me by dedicating your actions to me. Isn't this a kind of a slavery? No. All these years and all your lives, you have been clinging on to the unreal, clinging on to the stupidity, the foolishness, the misery, the suffering. You have clung thinking that this would give you happiness and joy and success and everything. You gave your youth, you gave your life, you gave your time, you gave your energy to something which you got nothing in return. So he's saying, take that which you had given it to the world. You know, Sri Ramakrishna also said, give your mind to the world and it will burn you. Give your mind to God and you'll become immortal. That's the idea. Give your mind. So you are giving it to someone who is going to give you immortality, or you're going to attain immortality. Okay. This is the idea. And the 8th verse is, this is the yoga of practice. How do you do that? By the yoga of practice. O Arjuna, O son of Pritha, O Partha, is saying, by meditating with a mind which is engaged in the yoga of practice and which does not stray away to anything else, one reaches the Supreme Person existing in the effulgent region. Now you say, I've given my mind and intellect, okay, what do I get? This. So the second half of the verse is Paramam Purusham Divyam Yati. You attain that supreme being. Wow. Supreme being. Yeah. How? Yeah, by the yoga of practice. And how is that done? You have dedicated your mind and life of it. When it is said, dedicate your mind and life to me, it means everything else also. Okay, I've cut a piece of my mind and I've cut a piece of my intellect and I've given it here. The rest I will keep to me. That won't do. My senses, my sense organs, my motor organs, my body is mine, and that which the Lord wanted, I gave it. No. It's a kind of composite. So when the Lord says, dedicate your mind and intelligence to me, that means dedicate your all to me. Not only this. Okay, so if you dedicate part of your mind to God, part of me, okay, that's me. No. Your sense of self also goes there. This is the idea. Your sense of self with everything else, with the mind and intellect and body and senses and everything, is dedicated to God. So here he says, Abhyasa yogena. Abhyasa yoga yuktena. It's a tremendous kind of abhyasa. Abhyasa. So what is yoga? Shankaracharya said, yoga is practice, abhyasa. What? Yeah. Girish Ghosh's brother Atul, is found in the Gospel. He says, well, how can we keep our mind on God? Simple as that. And that's the question everybody will ask. A sincere person will ask, a person who is interested in spirituality. How do we keep our mind on God? Why? And here Sri Ramakrishna says, well, why? Through the yoga of practice. Even Sri Ramakrishna says, through the yoga of practice. So he says, you should practice calling on God every day. Yeah. So here he makes it. It is not possible to succeed in one day. Through daily prayers, you will come to long for God. That's the first reference in the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. The second reference is Priya. There's another person who says, but the mind is not under my control. Obviously. So Sri Ramakrishna, how is that? There is such a thing as the yoga of practice. There is such a thing as yoga of practice, abhyasa yoga. So he says, keep up the practice and you will find your mind in whatever direction you lead it, it will go to God. So keep up the practice. Then he elaborates, the mind is like a white piece of cloth, fresh piece of cloth. If you dip that white piece of cloth in a blue dye, it will turn blue. If you take that white piece of cloth and dip it in a tub of red dye, it's going to be red. So the mind has to be taken and dipped in the tub of God. And that is practice. All that, yes, it's all that. So here he says, O Arjuna, by meditating with a mind which is engaged in the yoga of practice and which does not stray away to anything else, one reaches that supreme person existing in the effulgent region. Where is that supreme person? Where is that effulgent region? Yeah, it's in the deepest part of your consciousness. Oh, really? Yeah. So your mind was distracted outwards. Your consciousness is distracted outwards. It diffracted and is running out. It's called a Bahirmukhi, externalized mind. And then you've got to do a kind of a internalization of your own mind or consciousness. This is Antarmukhi. You go inside. And in the deepest part of that consciousness, you will find this supreme person existing in the effulgent region. Abhyasa yoga yuktena chetasa nanya-gamina paramam purusham divyam yati parthanuchintayan. The next verse will give us the description of this supreme person. Who is the supreme person? This is the sum totality of God. The God with name and form, not with a kind of a blonde hair and blue eyes and tall and you can say slim and good looking. No, not that kind of. Oh, maybe we'd like another old person, wise person with long hair, with white hair and a long white beard and white robes. the whole reality, the subtle, the gross, and the causal universes all together constitute what is called that Supreme Person. It's called a Saguna Brahman. Brahman with qualities. Well, here it's a. So, and then he's saying, Abhyasa Yoga Yuktena. By joining yourself to the yoga of practice. Oh my God. And you see Shankaracharya also kind of wonderfully, he can say, when he's describing what is the yoga of practice, he's saying one thought uninterrupted by any other thought. So you start with one thought, a thought of the reality or thought of God. Oh, God is kind of this. And the next moment, you think of the same thing. And the third moment, you think of the same thing. And the fourth moment, you think of every fraction of a second, it's the same thought. It's rising and falling and rising and falling and rising and falling and rising. You are thinking of the reality. You are thinking of existence. No longer are you thinking of this delusive world, this world of imagination, of hopes and aspirations, of desires and pains. No. You are now meditating on supreme bliss. So that's why you say, and all contrary ideas are all eliminated. It is called Sajatiya, one class, one type of thought coming, irrepressible, unstoppable, one after another, after another, another. This is practice. So, okay, I am thinking of God now, and then I look around, oh, and then again, oh, I have to think of God now. That won't do. It is becoming absorbed in that one thought. And you go with that flow. One thought rises. The next thought also is the same thought, comes over and over and over again. What does it do? It destroys all other previous memories that are going to give you a rebirth. Completely destroys them. It purifies the mind. And becoming one with that thought of God, you at that moment are, while you're practicing, one with the thought of God, one with God. This is Abhyasa Yoga. This is the practice of, when you are thinking deeply, you become transformed into it. And there are various examples in the Upanishads also. And even Sri Ramakrishna is saying, when a prey has become so frightened, freezes, because there's a predator coming, whether it's an insect or an animal or whatever, if it is meditating, as it were, so deeply on the predator, it transforms itself, as it were, into that predator. Oh, its camouflage is so beautiful that the predator just misses the whole thing. So when you think of a particular thing, your mind takes the form of that. And then the mind takes the form of that particular thought, tanmayata, that you are right now in that state, one with that thought, one with the thought of God, one with the thought of reality, or one with the thought of existence. You are existence itself. You are knowledge itself. You are consciousness itself. So this itself is saying, this is the, and what is the object of concentration? Here he's saying, if you meditate here, God is the object of God. You start with the object of meditation as God, and you keep on and on and on and on and on. So he's saying, O son of Pritha, by meditating with a mind which is engaged in the yoga of practice. So here he's saying, by meditating with a mind which is engaged in the yoga of practice and which does not stray away to anything else, one reaches that Supreme Purusha. Paramam Purusham Divyam Yati Partanu Chintayan. Beautiful. So, Paramam, the Supreme. What's the Supreme? Yeah, the next verse speaks about that Supreme. Because now you're going to think of an object which is kind of God. You have dedicated your mind and intellect and you're constantly practicing. So how do you think of it? What are the qualities of that Supreme Person? So the next verse, 9, is Kavim Puranam Manushasitaram Manoraniyan Samanusmaredya Sarvasya Dataram Achintya Rupam Aditya Varnam Tamasa Parastad. Oh, some of these verses, when you're going to meditate, whatever is your chosen ideal, you want to meditate on Rama, on the Shiva, on a Christ, or a Buddha, or a Ramakrishna, or a Holy Mother Vivekananda, think of them as this. Saying, one who meditates on the omniscient Kavim, the ancient Puranam, Anushasitaram, the ruler, subtler than the subtle, Anoriniyan, Samanusmaredya, that one who meditates like this thing. Sarvasya Dataram, saying, he is the ordainer of everything. Achintya Rupam. His form is inconceivable. Though existing, it is inconceivable. Effulgent like the sun, beyond all darkness. Aditya Varnam, Tamasappara. Aditya, like the kind of... So this is how you're going to meditate, through a constant repetition of the name, or the constant, you can say, chitta vritti, constant mental mode. This is how you're going to. When you meditate on your object of meditation, this is how you got to that. That object of meditation is not some dry, stupid stump of a tree, and I'm meditating on. You might become a dry stump of a tree there. Be careful. So, one who meditates, anusmaredya, one who meditates on what? On the omniscient. Kavi, these rishis are called kavis, poets, but poets in the sense of they knew the past, present, future of things. So they are called omniscient. The rishis are called omniscient. God also is called omniscient. He's called a kavi. It's a beautiful word. God is kavi. And then he's saying, then he's saying the knower of things past, present, future. That's now meditating on whatever you're meditating on, whichever form of God. You've got to have this first. Kavim, omniscient, and the knower. God knows the past, present, and future of everything. Everything, even this, everything. It includes everything in the universe. Puranam, ancient. Pura api nava, they sing. Yeah, though it's ancient, yet is always new. So, it's here. The ruler. What do you mean ruler? Is this some kind of a president? And the president also doesn't rule. He has to depend on so many other factors. In the old days, he had his rulers, great rulers. Hey, I'll do whatever I want. I'll knock your head off. No, that's one who knows, one who controls everything. So the year is saying, the Lord of the whole universe is one who guides the destiny of all living beings, one who knows their past, present, future, one who is ancient, more ancient than this ancient universe. This universe is very ancient, Very ancient. So, ancient in that. Not old, but he's saying ancient. You must understand the difference between old and ancient. People club the both things together. No, more ancient. And then, Anoraniyan Samanusmaredya, one who meditates on him as even the subtlest of the subtle. Anu is an atom. Anoraniyan, even subtler than the subtle atom. Or you can take it as quarks. Better still, go down still deeper inside. Okay? And then you go down and down and down. What's the most subtle part of what is appearing outside is that you have to think of God as that, the most subtle of all. So people say, can we see God with these eyes? So you remember that this is, the entity is the most subtle thing. So your perceptions itself has to become subtle. And then even more subtle, subtler than the subtlest. How does that happen? When your consciousness is purified, it becomes subtle. And what is subtle is internal, antar, and is vyapaka, is pervasive. Like you say, this mic is here, it is an object, it's gross, it is limited. But the air, you cannot see the air, you can feel the air, but yeah, I'm living. You cannot see the air. It's more subtle. And what is more subtle is all pervasive. That's the idea, just a kind of a illustration. Sarvasya dhataram, and is saying one who is the ordainer of everything. Everything. What does God ordain? The results of your actions. Well, that's a small thing. No, that's a very big thing. Can you imagine? You have done something in secret, and the Lord knows, and He or she will give you accordingly. So He's the ordainer of everything, one who grants the fruits of action individually to all creatures. And then He's saying, Achintya Rupam, of inconceivable form. Chintya is that you can think about. Achintya is you can't even think about it. So the commentators say, though existing, it's just simply impossible to conceive of that form. You are meditating, but the real nature is inconceivable. And people want to conceive of God as this and that and this and that. Here the thing, though existing, it is inconceivable. Aditya Varnam. Like the sun. There is, you cannot say, oh, you see, now it's night and the sun has set, and now, so the sun has set. In the old days, the guys used to think that the sun has set. And it has set down there, it's gone down in the ocean. It's sunk. In Indian mythology also, we had these Rahu and Ketus, those you can say, during the eclipse, and the sun is now being eaten by that demon, swallowed up by that. So we get that solar eclipse. Sun doesn't. The sun is the sun. Aditya Varnam, effulgent, self-effulgent. So that God is self-effulgent. You have to use the word eva, as if, and beyond all darkness of delusions. So this is what. So effulgent, knowledge is effulgence. And so one smared, one who meditates on the omniscient, the ancient, the ruler, subtler than the subtle, the ordainer of everything, one who is of inconceivable form, effulgent like the sun and beyond darkness. This is the description of that Supreme Person, Paramam Purusham Divyam. This is what. So when you are meditating on these ideas. You are becoming one with these ideas through the yoga of practice. Constantly. Isn't this a wonderful thing? It's not slavery. People think, oh, it's a grind. No, it's not a grind. This is immortality. So, even in the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord has mentioned it in a few places about abhyasa, yoga. In the 18th chapter and also in the 12th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, he talks about abhyasa yogena natato mamichaptam dhananjaya. You do it through the practice, you want to know me, want to attain me to the yoga of practice. And also in the 18th chapter, you can't say that. Those who practice will see the end of pain. Well, Sri Ramakrishna says there's something called bhajananand, the joy of worship, the joy of practice. There is a joy in that. It's not something dry and miserable. So this is a yoga of practice, constantly, over and over and over. And that is what one needs to do to attain the reality. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat Shri Ram Krishna Arpanam.